Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Kayfabe Central, the Kayfabe Sessions. I am here with episode 4, and I am joined here by Holden Albright. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Josh. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a bit of a hectic morning. I had to set up a lot of stuff, and I was rushing. So, yeah, I've been pretty hectic, but we're here.
We made it. The recordings, press play. Let's hope it records.
Yeah, honestly. Um, we'll get straight into the questions because we did talk a bit before I hit record. First question I have here for you is a pretty generic question, but what first drew you to professional wrestling, and how did Holden Albright come to life?
Okay, so what drew the origin story is I just don't remember a time of not watching wrestling. Like my dad watched wrestling, so like I Stone Cold's my dude. But
Yeah,
like I was born in 92 and the Austin 316 promo was in 96, I want to say. And like I'm not even 4 yet because I'm born at the end of the year, so there's no way like I knew Stone Cold as being like this is my hero at the time.
yeah,
But then it's like it was always just there. And then I watched breakfast television on City TV
yeah,
and they featured a wrestling school. I grew up in Brampton. It was in Brampton. I went there for 2 classes in like grade 6 or 7. Didn't do it afterwards. And then I had money saved up for a trip. People bailed. I had money. I knew eventually I would go to a wrestling school. Ended up at Squared Circle in February 2014. And then from there for the next 10 years, went pretty hard. Currently on a sabbatical that's at the end of Holden Albright's little break. I'll be back by the end of the summer at least.
nice.
So that's what got me into wrestling. But like I always break it down to pro wrestling and stand-up comedy were always consistent in my life of like no matter how depressed or dark my life was, I always could find joy in that. And I heard this quote once. An entertainer is just someone that decided to take control of their entertainment. So I like to think that I get to now pay it forward by entertaining other people the way that that thing always saved me in my darkest days.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely does bring a joy, like to me as well. Like I could just be having a bad day, and then a random good match comes on like Raw or something, and I'm like, oh, it's amazing.
There's wrestling on TV every single day. Like
Yeah,
every weekend almost has like multiple pay-per-views or sorry, premium live events. But then also like this is I don't say get into an argument because I don't get into arguments with these people. I hear them say the dumb things, and luckily they're far enough away from me that I can't call them an idiot.
yeah,
But like whenever they're like, "Oh, wrestling today is not as good as blah," blah," when I'm depressed and damn, WWE Vault just uploaded a bunch of the WrestleMania highlight clips, and in it's the two Rock and Stone Cold promos with Limp Bizkit of Crack Addict, WrestleMania 19, which is so underrated. And then, of course, My Way's in there of whenever I'm depressed, I just throw on WrestleMania hype packages. I go back 20 years because the benefit of post 1980, everything was recorded. We didn't have to
yeah.
tape over it. So just watch what you like. You can watch a random Saturday morning 93 Superstars episode. It's okay if you don't like what's going on right now.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. Like there's so much good wrestling out there in the world that like you don't have to just stick to one particular company or promotion. Like there's so much wrestling you can watch.
My biggest pet peeve, I went off on this to someone yesterday actually, of we live in a time that a lot of people are opinionated and such, but at the same time, say that there's a small indie show in Lincoln, Ontario. I think that's a place in Ontario. And if someone in Spain doesn't like one of the people booked on the show, and they go, I'll never support you and buy a ticket. You were never gonna buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Like that's where it's like focus on your own stuff instead of whatever. I gotta ask you though, who's your guy?
On just in wrestling in general.
Yeah, like who's the guy like you'll see it and you're like, that's I'm going to find a this person match.
Um there's a lot of them. I think anytime Seth Rollins is on my screen, it brings a
Okay.
joy. I know that's a very basic answer based on the past few years. Um,
Well, I was gonna ask you what generation of Seth Rollins because that some bitch has evolved every 6 months.
yeah. that is very true. I had a lot of joy watching the Authority Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
I think that's when he was at his best.
Which now he figured out that he can reverse the spear into the pedigree and is spamming that in all the match. It's a cool spot, but brother,
Yeah,
you've been doing this since 2016, 2017. Where was this then?
yeah. I think he did do to Roman at Money in the Bank at 2016.
Okay.
But yeah, since then I don't think he's done it as much. But yeah, Seth. I think we're going outside of WWE. Anytime MJF is on my screen, I
Okay.
always am entertained.
I
Even
was
though
catching
I'm
up on Dynamite a couple hours ago, so seeing his "I Hurt People" segment was great.
Yeah, that's like a storyline that I've talked about on the podcast before. That like I'm not a huge fan of right now, and a lot of people are.
Mm,
Um, like for me, it's just like I don't know. It feels like the same thing every week.
hmm
And like I've been very open about that, and I love MJF and I love the Hurt Syndicate, but I feel like this next chapter of MJF, this is not where I saw him going.
mm.
Um, but yeah,
Well, it's
uh,
also you put all these people together that like because I was talking to someone about this recently. I think yeah, I was talking to my buddy and he feels like Swerve kind of lost like his like stardom right now.
mm,
But like we kind of broke down how everyone is kind of busy,
yeah,
unfortunately for Swerve. And it's like you have the Hurt Syndicate and you have MJF that especially if they're all in the heel column, if we have like a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet of baby faces and good guys, and
yeah,
you have them all busy with each other in a segment versus I'd love to see a Shelton match every week. I'd love to see
yeah,
a Hurt Syndicate tag match every week. I'd love to see MJF running a promo with Hangman or anyone and helping build them up.
yeah.
But it's we're in this weird. I'm hopeful for the future of AEW.
Yeah, no, me too. They have been looking promising the past couple months. I will give them that. I think it was Revolution was a really good pay-per-view
Hmm
in my opinion. I It's on my list for pay-per-view of the year.
Ooh,
Um but yeah. So we'll continue talking about you.
sorry.
Um so your character has a lot of intense and psychological edge. Where does that influence come from?
Undiagnosed mental health issues mostly. Legitimately though, it was because it wasn't until, and that's why I had to take like the little break from wrestling of I have the benefit of I started wrestling when I was 21 and I went real hard until when the pandemic started, I was going to turn 28 at the end of that year. So I went like real hard for 7.5 years.
Yeah.
And like when some people say they go hard, they mean they wrestle a couple times a month or they go to show. If I wasn't booked on a show, I was at a show. And that's how I got booked on more shows. If I wasn't, especially the first 5 years, if I wasn't, it, there was no wasn't. I'm wrestling at least 2 to 4 times on the weekend, and then I'm training 2 to 3 times, and then I have a job, and I didn't neglect. I just didn't have a real personal life outside of wrestling. So I didn't have like a partner, but like I wasn't sad about that because I was pursuing a dream. And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm enjoying this, whatever." And then the pandemic happens. Luckily, I was still doing podcasting and I was able to interact with friends.
Yeah.
And that's where I even like really realized how important a wrestling show was. Of like I saw some of my friends post, "Oh, I'm going so hard. It's gonna be nice to be home." I didn't have a good home life. Like I mentioned, I didn't have a partner. I didn't have anything. That it allowed me that if I wanted to just go away for 4 days and going to like St. Louis for a week or whatever, I was able to afford that.
Yeah.
But and I told this to a couple of people when they said, "I admire your drive." I go, "I'm running away. It's not driving to. I'm running away from this." And the pandemic forced me to slow down and seeing it with my friends. I'm glad I could take a break. And then a month later, they're like, "I miss wrestling." And I luckily have a lot of fans that have become friends of mine. And I got to see when wrestlers say they miss entertaining, they mean they miss getting they're just like pat on the back, like yay.
Yeah.
But I realized how important that wrestling show was. That like if someone has and shout out to shout out to Andrew Shane Hawk from IWS. During one of his seminars, he brought out that there's no reason to be like homophobic, racist, misogynistic, anything, because those are real life issues. You don't need that in your wrestling. This is fake fighting in a pretend world. We don't actually need to make these people who feel like they're fat shamed Monday to Friday to feel that Saturday night at a wrestling show
Yeah.
and then just be original. And I realized like how many fans and that community that yeah, I missed seeing my friends and pretending to fight them in front of crowds. But those people needed that one day a month to escape whatever they were going through.
Yeah.
And then I started realizing, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not all right up there. And I'm trying to figure out what it was. But when I break down the Holden Albright character, 2014 to 2016, I'm just a dude. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing. There's an intense style to it because I'm a stone cold guy. I like brawling, I like strong style kind of things.
Yeah.
And then I started tag teaming with Mark Wheeler. We are the Riot Makers. We joined a faction around it, threw in Jody Threat, threw in Stratosphere. I always called us terrorists. Mark did not like me calling us terrorists. But we were. I put promo videos together with the G7 protest where there's Toronto police cars on fire and stuff like that. That's what we were. We weren't committing domestic terrorist act, but we were shit disturbing wearing face masks and camo. We weren't not terrorists.
Yeah.
We do not condone ISIS or any other things. Just full disclaimer. But then during that, right before we broke up, I started wearing this bunny mask because I just wanted something different and I screwed it up a little bit to be whatever.
Yeah.
And then we go to break up. I get hit in the head with, I think I get hit in the head with a ladder. There's still like a little scar on my forehead. And I went, well, what if I lean into having not a split personality, but a little bit of schizophrenia? Like, what if I am going through mood swings? And I didn't fully know what those were, but then it was, I had this bunny mask. I'm not exactly talking to it, but the way that I broke it down, because I do overthink my characters, is we all have that little voice in the back of our head that's like,
Yeah.
I could punch this person in the face right now. Oh, I could kill this person or whatever. But we don't for the most time. Some people do. It
Yeah.
happens. We just hope they don't get away with it. But I was like, well, what if it wasn't the voice in my head? It was the mask that was communicating with me. And then when I put the mask on, that was like my war paint. That's us becoming one, and it's me just going crazy. And then I dropped the mask while I was drunk at Anime North. I needed a new mask. I couldn't find a bunny one, so then I found this wolf one. And it's so funny how many people try to talk me out of getting it. And then I got it, and it was so over. And then I'm in this weird space where I've had more Iron Man matches and 60 plus minute matches than I've never had an actual ladder match. I've had one cage match, and the way I wrestle, like I should have more hardcore stuff,
Yeah.
but I'm main eventing a lot and getting more time that I ended up in just this weird space that then what I considered big scary Holden Albright, my fiend, my demon, whatever, he needed to come out in a certain way. And then I'm maturing. Not a lot of other people in wrestling are maturing, which is why I took my break. And I started watching The Sopranos. So then I'm like, well, I'm gonna just wrestle in a dress shirt and slacks. I did that, and then I'm like, okay. And now when I come back, it's going to be a new Holden Albright because it's always a new version of me. And I don't exactly know what it is, but it's exciting and not scary, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
definitely.
sorry, I do overthink the character of Holden Albright.
No, I think overthinking characters is actually a good thing because you put more into it. And that actually led into my next question. The fact that you have a very unique presentation when you come out, how important is creative freedom to you as a performer?
Oh, bro, I've gotten into so many arguments. I wouldn't use the term creative freedom. More creative combatant, probably. Um, but it's especially at this level of wrestling. Like if you're in the WWE, you could get fined or fired if you cut your hair or get a new tattoo because they're marketing you. You're on posters, you're on cups, you're on action figures, you're in video games. It makes sense, but you're making a lot more money.
Yeah.
A lot of people, this is, it's a little rule I have. that I haven't remembered in a while, but anytime I see a wrestler, and if they have long hair, they got weird hair, because I went through a time where I had like a tri-hawk, I had some Road Warrior stuff going on. I
Yeah.
bleached my beard blonde because I wanted to do it gray. Luckily, it was blonde and not gingery red. But like the mask went over my nose, I started falling asleep, which meant like I almost died doing that.
Oh,
But it's always just testing a different look. And anytime I would see someone specifically with long hair, like stylized hair, and then I call it whenever they got a civilian haircut, they gave up on wrestling a little bit.
mm.
Because anytime I got a haircut, I went to the fucking mall. Like I'm going through the mall. I got a mohawk in the middle. I got some Suzuki stuff going on the right side of my head, and then a Road Warrior blade on the other side. And I'm seeing these stares from people. And a lot of people in wrestling, a lot of like older veterans used to like half make fun of me of like, oh, what a goofball. He looks so ridiculous. But then it wasn't until later on, and like I was gauging the looks I would get in public. And I thought most of the time they were like belittling until I realized like, oh no, they were scared. Because as I've been told, you just look like a Viking. And
Oh,
it's like, what the fuck is this dude of like, I don't know if he is a criminal, but I'm not going to be surprised if he is. And the benefit of pro wrestling, and not enough people take advantage. We are fake fighting in swimsuits, basically. You can do and be whatever you want. And what that means is some fat dude's going to pretend he's really strong, which as a bigger dude, I'm very sensitive to just if you're fat, that doesn't mean strong. And especially when they've never lifted a barbell in their life, please stop. But
yeah,
then if you like technical wrestling, you can be a technician. If you like aerial stuff, you can be an aerial guy, but like be safe, have your stuff. But people just think it's bell to bell.
mm,
No, it's from curtain to curtain. The moment
yeah,
your music plays, get familiar music, get something that also you like. And then what's going to happen is in 3 or 4 months, you're going to be tired of your music if you wrestle enough. You think it has to change, and then you realize it's over. And you're like, but I'm over it. And you have to combat with that of like, do I stick with this? Do I don't? And there's just not enough people that. So I realize in the past couple months my hobby is thinking,
yeah,
because I don't think I do pro wrestling, I do a little bit of magic, I do podcasting. I don't think those are hobbies because it needs an audience.
right,
I think a hobby is something you do for yourself. You can monetize it. You can be a painter, sell your paintings, but when you're in your garage or your bedroom painting, that's just you and the canvas.
yeah,
For me to do my artwork, I need an audience there, so I don't think
yeah,
it's a hobby. And then I got a little overthinking of shit, I don't have hobbies. Like, am I not a real person? I'm like, oh no, I think a lot. And I thought for anyone listening that does struggle with like neurodivergence or ADHD or anything like that, I when I overthink, I try to think of what is considered society normal and what's not normal. To me, bitching and moaning is normal and complaining. I don't think that that's a good thing to be normalized. So if you have a problem with someone, my advice is going to be, did you talk to that person about it? Especially if it's like a supervisor in a workplace.
yeah,
And they're like, well, no. I'm like, then don't tell me about it because now you're just
yeah,
wasting my time. But then I did talk to someone recently who I thought overthinking isn't a bad thing because so many people underthink. But
yeah,
then there is a contingent of people
yeah,
that spiral into overthinking of they're thinking about what's in their coffee and what made it the cup and what made it. That's not good thinking. What's good thinking to me of overthinking is why don't I feel good? Oh, I didn't work out today. I didn't get sunshine. I didn't. Oh, am I depressed? Oh, crap. Okay. And like you don't know because I've gone through this stuff.
yeah,
You don't know until it's like 2, 3 weeks, a month and a half in that you're like, oh, I'm not showering every day. Oh, I'm doing like a lot of naps.
yeah.
And then it's like, okay, oh, wait, it's December. It's sad. It's gray. It's dark. It's cold outside. That's why. And then you just got to hold on till spring. And I'm in a good mood now. It's real sunny.
Yeah, yeah, no, as someone who does struggle with overthinking a lot, and like I've never been open about that on the shows, but I am someone who struggles with overthinking a lot, and it takes a toll on you. Like it takes a toll to the point where sometimes you don't even want to do anything. Like there's been times where I'm like, I don't want to pick up this mic and do the podcast today. I don't want to like do these interviews today. I don't want to go to this press conference today. but like you have to, and like you have to
Yeah.
keep picking yourself up, and it's like the hardest thing to do. And like there's a lot of people that I try to explain it to, but there's times you can't put it into words, and it really does suck. So yeah, I hear that.
I also, what I break it down to is like it's being not an adult of like, oh, I can buy a pack of cigarettes or I can vote kind of adult. It's
Yeah,
maturity comes with experience, and that do you want to be a mature member of society and oh, I want to do this, I need to do this versus oh, I don't have to do this. Oh, did I say yes to that personal whatever party or whatever just because I said yes as opposed to I'm not feeling good, that's going to drain my battery. And like that's also the thing of
yeah,
I'm very conscious now of not my social battery, but my energizer level of
yeah,
if so, like this, I know for sure this was going to be a good thing for me. Of I like meeting new people and I love also meeting podcasters specifically.
yeah,
I like meeting people that are new at the genre and are doing it because A, it's going to be an easy enough thing.
yeah,
Because I'm gonna give that energy. We're gonna talk for a few minutes before the podcast. I'm
yeah,
gonna really get to know you, and it's yeah, you're interviewing Holden Albright, but I want you to know Brendan also.
yeah,
And it's having those little things. I'm like, okay, this is going to be good for me. Because I was gonna message you and be like, hey, bro, I'm on a sabbatical right now. If you want to wait till I'm about to return to wrestling, I understand. But I'm like, you want to know what? He said like doing it now. Okay, there is some things that are I'm overwhelmed with stuff
yeah,
of like my to-do list is so long that I'm just like crippling paralyzed in the decision making now of like, oh, I know I need to do this, but I keep adding stuff, so then it's just paralysis that way.
yeah,
And like I don't know how depressed I am until I realize it's I'm showering 3 times a week. I'm going to work 6 days a week, but I'm only showering 3 times. That ain't good. I'm going to sleep not because I'm tired, but because I want to time travel. I want to like fast forward time. And like those are the things that I fucking hate when people say mental health is real. Because it's not a myth. It's not Bigfoot.
yeah,
But it's that's like just saying cancer's real.
yeah,
If you and I don't know if you have, I've known a few people that have had cancer continue remission. It's not a blanket statement. There's different cancers. There's blood cells, there's bones, there's organs, there's lymphoma. Like cancer is the disease, but it's what kind you have. And mental health, it is the are you bipolar? Are you ADHD? And I also believe, unfortunately, now between every content being so consumable in short form, it's morphing our brain a little bit. And then the other half of when you hear people telling you something that, oh, you know, those autistic traits you had as a kid, that every kid just did because they were bored and didn't have anything to do. Like,
yeah,
that is not autism for everyone. But if you're still doing it at like 22, maybe you should get tested. Whenever people asked me what's wrong with me, I always went, I don't know. My parents didn't care enough about me to get me tested.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. Um, so getting back to a little bit of wrestling here. How do you prepare mentally for a big match, especially the brutal ones that you have?
So I think hmm, the first match my first match period in front of an audience, I was prepared to like cry afterwards, and I was like, okay, I'm building up for this, and like I practiced it also, so like I wasn't too overwhelmed. And then the first real moment match I had was facing Josh Alexander at Crossbody in 2018, and he would talk to me about little spots because I see Josh as a mentor of mine. And so we were kind of like bits and pieces. I'm like counting down for it. And then I had an Ironman with him the following February. But we didn't know it was going to be February. We were very much telling the story month by month to see when he would not be available anymore.
Yeah,
And then it's like, oh, I got like, so I knew an Ironman match was coming. I didn't know when. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go on I'm just gonna do a bunch of cardio every single day. And that was coming. I'm like, okay. And then I think because of that and the confidence on, oh, I have so much time, and then getting the allowable privilege to wrestle a lot of 20 plus minute matches, it got me out of my head of I didn't get scared, but then also like if I get asked who's my dream opponent, I always say my dream opponent's my next opponent because my dream was being a wrestler and I can't wrestle without an opponent. So I don't care if it's in front of 10 people in Oshawa or 500 people in Cleveland, Ohio. That is my dream, and I'm just always ready to have a match and then also just stay busy enough that you can't overthink what's coming up. If you
Yeah.
have 2 to 3 weeks and one match a month, like you're gonna like start thinking, and that's the benefit. Once again, I was telling this to someone the other day. There's two types of wrestlers: the wrestlers that have to call every little thing, and the wrestlers that are in the moment. And inevitably, you're gonna screw something up. You need to be in the moment. But if you're always prepared to be in the moment, you're just always ready. And I think that's just don't get ready, stay ready kind of stuff. And I'm not ready right now. I'm like rookie mode right now. I'm stressed out. I don't know what my gear is gonna look like. I don't know if anyone's gonna book me, especially because I don't like most of the bookers. But
Yeah.
that's a whole nother story.
Fair enough. I might have to do this in two parts because I'm getting a remaining meeting time.
I just saw
Um,
that.
so might have to do this in two parts, but we'll get to that when we cross that road. So we mentioned you've wrestled in like hardcore matches briefly, and you've also wrestled in psychological style matches. What's your favorite kind of story to tell in the ring?
My favorite story, because the benefit of the big scary Holden Albright character that I learned with Gabriel Fuerza, because we went, I Loki, I don't think anyone's picked up on it, but my favorite match stipulation is 2 out of 3 falls.
Hmm.
And I've done it 2 different ways. I've done a 15-minute version in the middle of a story that I was telling with someone, and I've done a 60 plus minute version as the blow off at the end of the story. I think a 2 out of 3 falls match is better than an Iron Man match because you don't know how long you can go.
Yeah.
And the way that I do them is we're gonna go to a draw at the end, and that's gonna turn into a hardcore match. So in the 60 minutes, you get every type of fucking wrestling.
Yeah.
And but the story I like telling, and at the end of the match with Gabriel Fuerza, where I'm bleeding on the front of my head, the back of my head, and I'm missing half a tooth, of he just cried at the end and he was drained. And then I realized, oh, big scary Holden Albright, where the Fiend failed of just not dying. Holden Albright is a character that can die. You can shoot him with a silver bullet if you think he's a werewolf.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's the yin and the yang. It's that little bit of good and evil, and that little bit of evil and good. Of you can beat Holden Albright, but you're gonna have to kill Holden Albright to beat him, and then you have to live day to day knowing that you killed a man and you're capable of that going forward. And
Yeah.
the story I got to tell in Barry with Van Landen, where we told the story over like 6 or 8 months,
Yeah.
and at the end of it, he kills Holden Albright. Some bitch jumps me in the parking lot actually while I'm parking my truck. I don't even get the entrance of the Wolf Mask. We just brawl through the front door,
Oh
go
wow.
on IWTV, check out the whole Barry storyline. I want to say we started in like May or June and blew it off in January. Half of them weren't even matches. We were just talking in the ring.
Oh wow.
And my dad died in the middle of it. I'm like, oh my God, how am I supposed to be a bad guy when I'm like really sympathetic to everyone
Yeah.
right now? But we got them back on board, set up Van Landen, and that's my favorite story to tell is not the underdog, but proving that every dog has its day kind of thing.
Yeah. Definitely. What's one thing you think people misunderstand about your wrestling style?
That I'm as dangerous as it looks. The biggest marks are the guys in the back. Like, no, I haven't hurt as many people as other people have. I've also not been hurt myself while wrestling. Like, brother, I didn't wrestle with knee pads or shoes for a better part of my career, and I can get out of bed without my knee killing me. And the only two injuries were outside forces. And I think it's what's missing in Ontario right now. There isn't a believable motherfucker. There isn't someone that when they get put, and I know this because a bunch of the rookies are saying they want to wrestle me because you're going to feel it, but you're also going to be able to go to work the next day.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people think that because I'm not slapping my leg on everything. But I got this actually from Van Landen, great friend of mine. And he's like, "Oh yeah, when my friends saw I was wrestling you, they were all scared."
Hmm.
Yeah. The fans should think, "Oh, if you're going against someone, Holden Albright in this case, he's gonna fucking hurt you." And you're not gonna actually, you will get that photo the next day with the chop mark on the chest and going, "Pro wrestling's real." And it's like, that's the most like not real thing. That's like saying I got into a car accident and all you did was hit a curb.
Yeah. You've been a fixture on the Ontario scene for a while. What do you think makes Ontario special or different from other regions?
I think there's very much a pre and post pandemic Ontario.
Yeah.
I came into it 2014. I was a fan of it in the mid 2000s, around '05 to '09. I think, especially I break down that before 2015, the only way to make money in wrestling was a WWE contract. That was like the only way. There was no money on the indies. You'll still have a part-time job if you worked at a different promotion. Maybe you go to Japan for months on end.
Yeah.
But then, so all these guys in the pre 2010s just wrestled really hard. They got good with hopes of a contract, but not thinking that it would happen.
Yeah.
Post 2014, 2015, wrestling starts booming in general. There's a bunch of hungry people. Everyone's eating for the most part. And then the pandemic hits, and the best
Yeah.
Ontario and Ontario adjacent wrestlers like Mike Bailey, who's a Quebec homie, they all get signed, and it leaves this hole in the province that, like, a lot of people say, leave it better than you found it. And there's a lot of people that just haven't left wrestling that I'm not saying you're making it worse, but you do have to leave at a certain point.
Yeah.
And when everything is going more like it's '05 and not 2025, like, brother, I'm going to piss a lot of people off when I come back. I'm doing a promos every Monday morning called Monday Morning Heat.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say the truth, and if people don't like the truth, like, no, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, who are some Ontario-based talents you think fans should keep their eye on right now?
I'm gonna go with rookies that I'm not too sure people know about because I can go, oh yeah, my friends Mark Wheeler, Jody Threat signed, Alexia Nicole Forza, but like you should already know them. I say A, find whatever your closest Ontario wrestling show is.
Yeah.
GCW, Great Canadian Wrestling, they run a bunch that they probably have a show within 35, 50 minutes of you.
Yeah.
Of go there and find the person you like, but shout out Robbie Hollywood and Luke Caden. Shout out KP. There's a lot of like teams and factions
Yeah.
that there's a lot of good, but I'll just promote great Canadian wrestling. Good Canadian wrestling, but great Canadian
Yeah.
wrestling as a go there and find the guys that you go, oh, he has something, or she has something, or they.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I am gonna end this and then restart it so we can
No worries.
all right. We are back. So we're gonna get straight into back into the questions. Um, so you've wrestled a wide range of opponents like Josh Alexander, like we just mentioned. Who's pushed you the most physically or creatively in Ontario?
I will give credit to Ben Ortman's former coach at Crossbody Pro Wrestling, producer, booker, promoter of Crossbody Pro Wrestling. Sorry, Academy is the school. Crossbody Pro Wrestling was the show that I joked earlier about creative freedom and creative combatant.
Yeah.
He was the one that really, because here's the thing, I think too many people argue. Like they can't have a conversation without a confrontation, and debating and arguing are two different things.
Yeah.
Arguing is being mad that someone doesn't have the same opinion as you.
Yeah.
Debating is the only thing I took away from grade 10 English was supported opinion paragraphs of have an idea, have some backing, and then conclusion.
Yeah.
And a debate, I don't need you to go on my side at the end of the debate. We have judges that will say who argued their points better.
Yeah.
And that's how you win a debate versus an argument leads to what is there, like four different country wars going on right now outside of North
Yeah.
America? Like that is what happens when people don't want to talk and they don't know how to talk. So Ben definitely pushed me into learning, is this the hill I want to die on? Is this not the hill I want to die on? Not every battle is worth it. And he gave me the opportunity of, I was a crossbody champion for, it would have been like 13 months
Oh wow.
if I had the match with Forza before the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get that match, so it was supposed to be March or February. It was going to be March 2020. We didn't get our match until February 2022.
Oh
So
wow.
technically, I was the crossbody champion for like 3.5 years or something.
Yeah.
But I take pride in the fact that I was the most defending crossbody champion.
Yeah.
I had the most amount of matches and had the benefit. He was doing a showcase series that I gave him an idea for him, that I got to wrestle every 2 weeks if I was free. I
Yeah.
also put the title on the line on some of those matches. He was doing a bunch of fair stuff. And then Josh was never my specific trainer. I dropped into a school a couple times,
Yeah.
but we met as peers, and he was someone that saw something in me and decided to, like, I don't even know how many times he's told me to like smarten up or lose my number. Because I think that that's a lot of people, and I do think for setting boundaries is good, but if you care about someone, you can say the shit that you talk in a car or a group chat to the person if you want them to get better.
Yeah.
Because then it's constructive criticism. If you're just criticizing them behind their back, you're not doing anything productive for them. So I appreciate all of those messages I've gone from him just telling me to get my act together. And and then he also just legitimately beat the shit out of me in the ring that led to like the style I have, that he actually had to apologize to other people on my behalf, because like, he's been wrestling me quite a few times. And before Josh was on TV, before Mike Bailey was on TV, because people just underestimate how hard Canadian people hit, apparently. Shout out Sinner and Saint also. But he pushed me, like the Iron Man match. I wasn't gonna pitch an Iron Man match. That was his pitch. He wanted to test me, and I'm still in contact with him. Jen, his wife, is such an amazing person. She was a part of a group of people that when I wanted to quit wrestling a year in, they're like, don't do it just because of these dumb people that think they control you. And they gave me that confidence that
Yeah.
like and then he has like two of the cutest kids, that like Josh Alexander is a dude that you look at as a wrestler and you're like, I admire and I would love to do what he's done. And then you see him as a man and as a father and a husband, and you're like, he's just a great goddamn person.
Yeah.
And so like those are the two people, but then like I got real lucky. The squad I had coming up of Alexia Nicole, Gabriel Forza, Jody Threat, Mark Wheeler, like we just pushed each other really hard and just wrestled a lot of car rides, had fun. Shout out Shane Saber and Von Vertigo in that also.
Yeah.
And like those are the people that have really motivated me and inspired me when I needed that motivation and inspiration.
Yeah. I had we talked about before. I had Fuerza on the show, and I also had Kobe Durst on the show, and both of them spoke very highly of Josh Alexander. And Fuerza was one that said Josh won't stoop down to your level. He'll bring you up to his and really push
He'll
you.
I won't say bring you, because we are three guys. Shout out Kobe Durst also. Um I've been meaning to grab a coffee and we just haven't crossed paths recently. But sorry, are you frozen?
Yeah, I think
Oh
yeah,
no.
you're frozen on my end too.
Oh.
Uh, can you still hear me? Oh, there we
Okay,
go.
you're back. You're back. You're
Okay,
back.
there we go.
Okay. I noticed
Technical
you were
difficulties.
frozen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
see, now I think it's on my side. Oh man. Yeah, I saw you frozen. I was like, I'm gonna stop talking. Uh Josh is a type, because me, Fuerza, and Kobe are specifically guys that he won't stoop to your level. He'll give you the opportunity. It's like fucking Fear Factor. Throw down a ladder, but you still got to jump and climb that ladder.
Yeah,
And if you don't, you either know what to improve on or you lie to yourself and go, he buried me out there or something. And it's like, no, we're three guys that were perfect examples of we were given the opportunity, sink or swim. And homie, I can't swim, so I'm glad I didn't sink.
Yeah. I watched that match you had with Josh. I believe it was the SCSS tournament. Um, and that match had a lot of things that surprised me. Some of the bumps you took in that match, I was like, whoa, like it looked like you were genuinely hurt in some of those moments, and it was genuinely a great match.
Okay, so behind the scenes in that match, I will say that's the only moment that I can confirm a concussion I've gone in a match,
Oh wow.
and it wasn't from the moonsault.
Oh wow.
I got the concussion before that happened,
Oh
and I
wow.
just didn't. And the moonsault looks real dirty, but like I take real dirty bumps anyways. But it
Yeah.
was actually on, if you watch the match back, when he gives me the power bomb and holds on, and we've wrestled a bunch of times. I think that may have been the first time we actually had a singles match because I think that was still Riot Maker's Holden.
Oh.
And he went to lift me the second time and just our timing was off. The referee tried to count my shoulders and like I got lifted 6 inches, hit my head, roll out of the ring, everything's dizzy. The next day I drove to and from London from Brampton, came home, woke up Monday morning, the room's spinning. I'm like, oh,
Oh
okay.
wow. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a intense match. But everyone thinks the moonsault's what killed me, and it wasn't.
I do remember right after that powerbomb, I'm pretty sure he like threw his body through the ropes right at you. So you didn't
Oh,
really get
yeah,
a moment.
because even especially because right by the way, the car crash crossbody, which is what I think it's actually called. I'm
Yeah.
so glad he's on TV now, so no one can steal that.
Yeah.
It is such. I'm lucky. I'm a thick dude, so like I can take that hit.
Yeah.
But like I've seen motherfuckers hit the second row. Like they
Yeah.
go through the first row, and it's like so. I'm so glad he gets to do that on TV.
Yeah.
Um, After he hit me because I'm like, oh, I know the next thing. I get if you watch it, he lifts me up. We're going around there. I trip because I'm so dizzy and such. And then if you watch the moonsault spot back again, Ethan Page is in the crowd and he just jumps up real high when I die.
Oh wow. If you weren't a wrestler, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
I would be do. So I went through like a little. I take a break in January 2024. Yeah, because I took the whole year off last year, and I went through this midlife crisis.
Mm.
Because I there's nothing that I want to do because I've done everything that I wanted to do that I had nothing on the list. I'm like, oh, I want to do magic tricks. I've done that. I want to do comedy. I do that. I want to do podcasts. I do that. I'm just like shit. I now need to focus and put energy in one area. And I think I realized this recently because I remembered I got questioned by a abusive coach when I was younger in wrestling.
Mm.
And his whole thing was if you're not trying to go to WWE, aren't you taking the spot from someone else who wants to? And for some reason, I had the balls and courage to say it, but I'm like, if they wanted to go to the WWE and I don't, wouldn't they work harder than me? And he didn't say anything back to me.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm like, don't celebrate because you might get hit in the face right now. Don't celebrate. And then I realized like, no, because I had to remind myself about this recently. What my occupational dream job was when I was a kid was I wanted to be a presenter. I wanted to be Oprah or Mark Maron or like what Joe Rogan's doing now of
Yeah.
I want to have a platform to talk to other people. And like I could be interviewed, sure, but I want to share that spotlight and learn about other people. So I think if I wasn't, and here's the thing, I haven't been a wrestler for the last year and a half. It was the beginning of this year that I got comfortable saying former pro wrestler Holden Albright.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I won't say unfortunately, fortunately, I didn't do a lot of entertaining because I did a lot of internal work, which means the entertainer next year, at the end of this year, is going to be more grounded because I'm now realizing, once again, overthinking my hobbies, driving, smoking a cigar, looking at fields,
Yeah.
of I never had my head in the sky. I never had my head in the clouds. I also understand the motivational quote of aim for the moon because if you miss, at least you land in the stars. I'm like, yeah, but if you want to be an NBA player and you're 5'2",
Yeah.
like become a water boy, become a coach. Like there's other realms. You've even mentioned, I believe it was off air of like you're not. a wrestler, but you're still involved in wrestling and you don't hate wrestling. And that's
Yeah.
always my goal with people that step out of the wrestler mode of I want to do this
Yeah.
to as long as you don't hate wrestling. Because
Yeah.
too many people hate it. And for me, it's one of the few things I've loved my whole life.
Yeah.
So I say I never had my head in the clouds, but I was always like, know when you see the horizon at the end of the road and it's just a real long straight road, so you just see pavement and the sky.
Yeah.
That's where I am. Like I love looking at clouds because they're so. I remember when I was a kid and I saw them move. Like I thought I was going crazy. I'm like, why does no one talk about the clouds? I thought they were just there. I thought they were just
Yeah.
stationary. They were there. But now when I'm looking at it and I'm in a good headspace, I'm just looking. I'm like, oh yeah, well this one's a little closer. Oh, this one's more full. Oh shit, it's about to fucking thunderstorm. I need to get inside before I get struck by lightning.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Literally outside of my window, like there's amazing clouds just up in the sky, and I'll sit right here and just stare at them for no reason. It's like it's
Well,
very calming.
especially talking about like the overthinking. Like there's no control in that. Like you're not worried about a car hitting you if you're just like looking, if you're in a park or something, you see a sketchy person come up, you see a child near you and you remind yourself you can't kick them even though you can physically, you're just not allowed to. And
Yeah.
just like looking at it's like, yeah, there's no like for me personally, I'm not religious, so I don't go to the like the religious side of everything around it. But
Yeah.
like that if you go to that level, cool. But also if you're just calming, you're breathing, like I don't think meditation has to be either a headspace app or reading specific manifestations or just hum for 10 minutes. It's
Yeah.
whatever just gets you to clear your mind. And the sky is so good. I love staring at the fucking moon.
Yeah.
Give me a moon going through the clouds and it's like some werewolf kind of scene. Maybe
Yeah.
that now I understand why people mistook the Holden Albright being a werewolf.
Yeah.
Real cool. And you can also never take a good photo of the moon. Like a phone will like AI it or whatever, but like it will never be actually good. And like that's kind of the magic of life, of like it
Yeah.
forces you to live in the moment.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I have no idea how we got there. I'm sorry.
No, no, it's okay. What's one memory you have that like you'll always remember, good or bad, from wrestling?
I think I'm very fortunate that I can't off the top of my head remember anything bad because a lot of the bad feelings associated with moments in wrestling is just like disappointment from people being shitty. Like I joked to you beforehand, and that's just me having a self-worth issue. You're like, oh yeah, I think I saw you at a couple shows or whatever. And even though you asked me, which by the way, bonus points for emailing to do the interview and not doing like a DM on a social platform,
Yeah.
just the professionalism of that, like kudos.
Yeah.
But it's the disappointment I have with people. Like that's where all the bad feelings are. And then the good feelings are just so many just ridiculous like the one moment that I brought up the other day, because shout out Brian Weiss that does a lot of photography in the area. He just went out to New Brunswick for North Pro's show.
Nice.
And I mentioned that myself, Alexia Nicole, Gabriel Forza, and Pretty Ricky went out to Nova Scotia for Kaizen. Shout out Kobe Christ over there. And we're on this highway. And like you can see like 50 kilometers each way. One of us has to piss. Probably me. Maybe Forza. And like it's one of the things like it's so pitch black. Like I have a camcorder. Like I have hard drives with just like vlog footage of vlogs that were never published. Like when I die, I hope those memories get to be shared because they're so fucking goofy and fun. But like the only real light you can see in person because your eyes adjusted to it. But it was only within the tail light of like you could see. And then we turn around and Pretty Ricky's lying down on the highway. And it's like a 2 lane each way highway, but it's 120 miles per hour is the speed limit.
Oh wow.
And we're like, what the fuck? And he's like, when's the next time you'll be able to lie down on a highway? Because we could see 50 kilometers each direction. Like we would see a car coming.
Yeah.
And it's just that moment of like, I got very lucky that the people driving with Ethan Page taught us like to slow down and figure hunt.
Yeah.
He also like normalized it of it's okay to be a nerd in wrestling. That's why like we started buying action figures and being very open about our stuff. You saw Gabriel Fuerz's collection. I just added a Rey Mysterio lowrider, Lucha Lowrider, I think it's called. I
Oh,
gave him that
nice.
as a belated Christmas gift. Um, but like Josh taught me punctuality and like show up early so you're not stressed so you can like have your match and whatever. And like that led to when you're early at a show, you get to talk to more people. When you're early at a show, you get to. Me and Shane Saber were early for a Barry Wrestling show. We went downtown to grab a coffee. I didn't have my second vaccine at that moment. I just got like eligible for it the day before.
Yeah.
And they were doing a safe injection kind of thing in the middle of downtown with some nurses under a tent. I was like, fuck it, I'll get my shot now.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, how often am I going to shoot up with a needle in a city square and it's going to be normal? Which, by the way, I got rules. I'm not going to do crack or shoot up anything that won't make me jacked. But I got shot up with a needle in a downtown city core that I like could see crackheads around the corner. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, like I'm not injecting anything harsh. I also say I wouldn't do cool drugs because I didn't listen to cool enough music.
What's one thing fans would be surprised to learn about you outside of the ring?
I don't do as much drugs as people think. Uh, I I think it's the fact that like it's easy for me to accept that people don't like me because I spent so much of my life not liking myself. And it's like that's the self-worth thing I was talking about. But then like because I am a nice person, I am a cordial person. There is minimal reasons to not like me, and it's more so I consider myself sandpaper.
Hmm.
That yeah, there is a lot of easy relationships people have. But when you're in spaces in your life and you're making the bad decisions, you're cheating on your partner, you're not overdosing, but you're overdoing substances and it's impacting your life, you don't want someone to tell you you're the problem.
Yeah.
And when I say you have a problem and I want to help you, and people don't want to hear that, they think I am the problem. And then I realize of like, I don't give a fuck at this point, especially like I'm way too honest of a person now
Yeah.
because lying was so comfortable. My people in my life lied to me so much that like if you tell me the truth, that feels uncomfortable to me. So
Yeah.
I assume like I live in a world where murderers are real, rapists get away with shit. Sadly, I don't condone it. I don't do it, but
Yeah.
I know that that's the world we live in, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But sandpaper is the reason you can sit because I'm at a dining room table right now. Sandpaper is the reason I don't have a splinter on my hand rubbing it against this table. Sandpaper is really fucking helpful, and what I have to realize, like, I need to not help people that don't want help. And it's so hard to I'm with like actually after this, I'm doing a weird little because I'm not religious, so there's no real reason for it.
Hmm.
But I'm engaging with people that we end up in a weird argument debate thing because they say something fucking crazy. Like
Hmm.
I start my stand-up comedy by saying I look more racist than I am. I'm not racist, but I look like a trucker convoy starter pack. I get it. And and so people are comfortable being racist near me. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? And it's like, well, you know, like I'm like, yeah, but also all my partners have not been white because I'm also a level of white trash I don't know who I'm related to. So I don't want to fuck a sibling.
Yeah.
So these are real problems in my life. My stand-up comedy is also just traumas and not just stories. Unfortunately, I'll see another comedian, they're like, yeah, isn't it weird that like this? Because like I would do that. And my shit's like, yeah, my cat ran away. Don't know where he is. My dad died, but I found him. He was in bed when I found him. Like all of my shit's just trauma.
Yeah.
So I'm just at a point like I'm going to try to do it for the rest of this month as minimal as possible of a little vow of silence of just like and this is why also the timing of this podcast like I'm going to shut the fuck up for the next couple of weeks. So I'm just seeing if I can. And that doesn't mean I'm going to be completely silent because I know that's impossible, especially if I'm in a workplace setting or something.
Yeah.
But I'm going to see how little I do need to interact with people because I told this to someone this morning. I'm tired of getting angry talking to get dense people.
Yeah.
You want to tell me 2 + 2 is 5? I need to start saying, yep.
Yeah. What goals do you still have, whether it's a dream match, promotion you want to work for, or anything else?
My my goal right now, period, my focus is making entertainment my full-time income. And I say entertainment because crumbs equal crumb cake, a bunch of things. So going into little pockets, which by the way, patreon.com/Brendan C. Sign up for free. Because for the past like 6 months, I've just haven't been as focused on as possible. So a bunch of the content's available for all the free tiers. I just went, if you're a member here, become an acolyte of Albright. You'll get a bunch of this. That will finish up the beginning of June because I'm going to like refocus on it. But for right now, you sign up. It's completely free. Just put in your email. You don't have to put in any credit card information. You don't even need to put your address. You put your address in there. It's easy for me so I can send you like a gift or something if I want to, like a free shirt. But go over there, get that because I've helped some of those people live out dreams. Like we had a competition during the pandemic and I trained a few of them to wrestle me in a gauntlet match. I did like motivational podcasts that gave people like I know people that got raises at work or applied for jobs. And it's like, I can't be that shitty of a person when I piss off shitty people and I help good people achieve dreams. Like, unfortunately, I need to look at that receipt of like, oh no, you've done more good than bad. And the bad you've done is tell bad people they're bad and they don't want to fucking hear that.
Yeah.
But that's my goal. But I will say the next 5 years, I haven't said it publicly to anyone, so I'll say it here just because also I'm a big believer of whatever you're trying to achieve, say it in the universe, because if you're too afraid to say it, you're not going to achieve it.
Yeah.
I want to have a wrestling contract in the next 5 years.
Yeah. I think with your resume, that is definitely possible.
I also, it doesn't need to be a wrestler. Like, I'd prefer being like a fucking writer or fucking
Yeah.
interviewer. I don't need to be taking the bumps.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So final question I have for you here is how do you define success in wrestling at this stage of your career?
I think success, period, in every walk of life is happiness. And it's so easy to get miserable that, like, we mentioned earlier, I'm pretty sure it was on the podcast of like, go back and find the thing that you fell in love with. Go back and listen to that song you lost your virginity to.
Yeah.
Go watch that wrestling match, whatever it is. And remind yourself also of in wrestling, like there's a quote like I'll see come up all the time of the past version of yourself wanted what you have now. Don't squander it. And like it's so easy to get lost in the bullshit of like, especially from what I understand, I may or may not be a parent, but raising a child is fucking hard.
Yeah.
But the beauty of having a child and this little creature that you can form, because I don't consider them humans till they're 10, but like they get to form, and not everyone also can get pregnant or carry it to full term. I know multiple people that have had miscarriages, and it's like the scariest thing for them to talk about because it's not a normal thing to talk about,
Yeah.
but it needs to be talked about more. Talking about overthinking and depression earlier, it's like
Yeah.
it's hard to explain it to people that don't. And then there's also just people in the world that don't. I'm not going to be mad at anyone for not having the trauma or being able to carry the bullshit that I've carried in my 32 years on this planet.
Yeah.
I also don't want them to go through what I've gone through in the last 32 years.
Yeah.
But you can't avoid it. You can't live in a world where everyone that commits a crime goes to prison. We also live in a world like one of the things I'm sensitive towards is wrongful convictions.
Yeah.
Like, weird side note here, but like I'm I'm pro murder, but I'm anti the death penalty because I like true crime content.
Yeah.
So if there's no murder, I lose a podcast I listen to.
Yeah.
But I understand that if the death penalty is on the table, and there have been so many wrongful convictions. I'm actually in the middle of reading 2 books on it. And if that's on the table, someone that can be wrongfully convicted can be put to death because also the game of the court is a game. It's not about who's right or wrong. It goes back to debating. Did
Yeah,
the defense or did the plaintiff make a better case?
yeah,
And sometimes the defense loses and it's not a guilty person that gets caught guilty because that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And
yeah,
like that's people run away. I think people run away from happiness or they think like I don't care about sex in a relationship. My intimacy comes with cuddling on the couch. That's where I go. If that could have a baby, I would have a bunch of kids at this point. But like that's what I care about is just the person. Whereas so many people don't care about the person connected to the genitals they want to insert or be inserted into. And that's not real happiness. That's the same way of thinking joy is from the substance. You can use the substance to because I'm in the middle of testing out before this of some mental stuff of mood stabilizers of not everyone needs substances,
yeah,
but some people do need it to help. And if it makes it help easier, like a lot of drug addicts, that's just a deficiency. They found something here and then they go down it. I'm very sensitive towards homeless people because a lot of people are just two bad checks away from that. And then I'm sensitive towards addiction because that is a thing that I don't struggle with substance addictions, but I got my own addictions that I struggle with.
yeah,
And luckily, I don't have enough money to lean into the drugs as much as my impulse control would let me.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. Well, thank you for joining me here on the podcast and taking time out of your day to join me here. Great conversation and a lot of great things that we talked about.
Sorry, it got like real heavy and criminal stuff at the
Oh,
end
that's
there.
okay. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, thank you again for joining me, and maybe down the road we'll do this again.
Absolutely. Message me again at the end of the year. I would love there. There's just a cadence you have of you seem very comfortable.
Yeah,
Like you don't seem intimidated, you don't seem scared. Like I was, and you can cut this part out of the podcast if you want, but I was going to just give you like a little bit of advice on like, oh, don't say the questions generic because you're belittling yourself.
yeah,
But then you didn't do that every time. And I feel like a lot of interviewers get scared about that. They're like, "Oh, well, I know everyone else has asked you this question or whatever."
yeah,
And like your questions were very you allowed, and especially I'm an anomaly because I fucking talk too much. But you allowed the space to breathe that I'm just like, "Oh, like I don't need a co-host for any of my podcasts, but like what? Okay, I'm gonna flip it around. I see the timer still got 10 more minutes on this fucking recording.
yeah.
What are some of your dreams and aspirations, Josh?
Um, it's really switched over the past few years. Like there's been times where I wanted
How
to
old
play
are you,
basketball.
by the way?
I'm 20.
Oh my, you're so fucking young.
Yeah, so I got a lot of stuff to figure out, a lot of shit to figure out over the next few years. Right now it's just this that I want to do. As you mentioned Patreon earlier, I'm making a Patreon next week, or this week actually, for exclusive content and stuff. And yeah, it's just
Every entertainer should have a Patreon,
I
especially
agree.
now that they have the free tier too.
Yeah,
Of, because here's the secret. It's not so much about getting money, it's getting fucking an email list built up so that when you release a new episode, you these are the people that are your supporters.
yeah,
These are the do you know about the because I also go like business and marketing with stuff. Do you know about the 1,000 true fans theory?
I don't know.
So it's the reason why if you compare like an Instagram account with 100,000 followers and someone with 10,000,
Yeah,
you might think the 100,000 account makes a lot more money. But
yeah,
it's the 10,000 account that probably makes money because they know how to properly use it. They're not just
yeah,
throwing stuff out there. That's where email lists come in of you could post all your content, but then when you're just throwing it into the ether of whatever social platform you're sharing it on
yeah,
versus word of mouth, like what I told you, they're gonna see your glow up of your production. That's also the thing of when you give people like for wrestlers. I do not believe every wrestling fan that buys a shirt is gonna wear that shirt, but they
yeah,
wanted to donate or tip the entertainer they want to literally financially support,
yeah,
and the t-shirt and merch. is the simplest way. But now we have platforms like Patreon, OnlyFans. There's Okay, now I'm just going down the porn section with that stuff. Which, by the way, OnlyFans is not only porn. And by the
Yeah.
way, fuck anyone. Sorry, a little tired. Fuck anyone that like shit talks an OnlyFans model. They're just jealous that this attractive person is fucking making money.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Pay for good porn, ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah, I try to keep my like obviously I have a list of questions, but I try to keep it as conversative as possible. Just to like let the person I'm interviewing talk and because that's what it's about. Giving my audience that to know that person a little bit more outside of the ring.
Dude, I can't wait to see. So what would be your if you could fast forward to 30,
Yeah.
what is your profession? What is your making your full-time income from? And it
I
could be anything. You're 20.
yeah,
10 years is such a long time.
it is a very long time.
You
Right
mentioned
now,
basketball for a little bit there.
right now it would be this doing it on a higher level.
The
Like
Chris Van Vliet style.
yeah, I was just about to bring him up. Like I look up to guys like Chris Van Vliet and those guys, and I would love to do that. Interview like top stars in the industry and everything like that. So I want to get to that point
I have full faith in you at any point. I don't know if you're on like my Facebook account or my Instagram account. By the way, at Holden Pro for those things. Stay in touch if you need any like podcasting tips or you want me to like look at something to give you like my little fucking retarded viewpoint.
for sure.
Uh, I will. No, I just love seeing hustle and. I wish I wasn't weird. I wish this was the norm, but I feel like a lot of people will try to latch on someone young, and I don't mean age, I mean like experience,
Yeah,
so that they could be like, they got there because of me. And I know that because a lot of people try to take credit for me, and the people that should take credit for me don't announce it as loudly.
yeah,
But like there's a lot of people, whereas I love, once again, success is happiness.
yeah,
If I knew I got to help you a little bit along the way, fuck yeah. But you got yourself along the way. I could give you a workout plan, but you got to go to the fucking gym and do it
yeah,
every day. And
yeah,
like that is dude, because I also have like GTA Wire podcasting and stuff, so I'd love to have you hop on when I figure out what the networking of shows are in the fall.
yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah,
and you said you're in Barry, right?
yeah,
Okay, I'd love to make time sometime about for the end of the year to grab like a coffee or something with you.
yeah, 100%. I'd be
I
down
hit
for that.
coffee real Canadian there. Coffee. I put an A in coffee. That was fucked.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm more of a tea guy, but I'll go for the tea. And
I'm switching over to tea. I'm trying. I'm trying. I didn't know you could put milk or cream or sugar in tea. I also I didn't realize that there was different tea.
oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a very noob to tea. So I'd
Yeah.
love you to show me a way around tea.
Yeah. At home it's orange pico and at Timmy's it's steep tea. So
Okay.
yeah.
See, I heard there's peppermint. I think it's peppermint and something else was like a fat burner. So I get that at like Tim Hortons. But I
Oh
like English breakfast just because it seems fancy.
yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'm very generic when it comes to tea. I'm not a huge fan of peppermint tea. My mom's always tried to
Mm.
get me to drink it. I was like, no. Yeah. Yeah, no. It's not for me.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Josh. I hope you have a great
Yeah,
Sunday.
of course. You too.
Be safe, homie.